Okay, okay, the recording is going. If you want to start, John.
Okay. Welcome Hammond North. It's June 24th for the regularly scheduled board meeting. So the first order of business, the attendance, Chris Conti,
Here.
Gil Patton,
Here.
Randy Vaughn,
Here.
Jan Welch,
Here.
Gil, and who am I missing? Am I missing
Tim.
somebody else?
I'm Fritz.
Tim Fritz.
Here.
And Tracy Smalley can't be with us today. Okay, due to technical difficulties at my connection, I'll chair the meeting, the order of the, call the items, but in terms of people being recognized, that'll be Randy, given it's difficult for me to find who's raised their electronic hand. So first announcements would be that as before, the chat feature has been disabled and questions about the matter at hand are welcome, but only the matter at hand. And then Randy, you had two announcements.
Oh, yeah, I can go ahead and give questions have been asked about how can people see the budget. It is posted. You would have to go to the website, go to members, documents, budget documents, and then you'll see all of the budgets of the last several years. And there have been questions about how can people see the auditor's document. That would be available from by contacting Greg or a board member, and we can email that to you. It's available upon request. Okay.
All right, thank you. And then the next first item on the agenda would be the minutes of June 17th.
Yeah, those were sent out yesterday, I believe. And I asked for approval of those minutes. Is there a second? Since John can't see anybody, Tim has seconded that.
Okay, any comments? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes of June 17th? Oh,
1, 2, 3,
Aye.
4,
Aye.
5.
Okay.
Looks like 6. Are you voting for it, John?
yes,
Okay, looks like 6-0.
okay. All right, next order of business is the manager's report. Greg?
Thanks, John. Good evening, everyone. We have solicited at least 3 bids right now for the north side air handler. We do have the south side functioning, and temperatures are ranging currently between 72 to 86 degrees in the building, depending on where you are. The upper floors are the warmest at this point, especially with only one side of the building cooling operating. And then, of course, a little bit of a concern going into next week with temperatures projected in the 90s. But we do have one of the 3 contractors coming back Friday with another tech to visit that. We weren't able to get one contractor to come in until next Thursday. Everybody is completely slammed right now. We're lucky to get anybody within a couple weeks. One contractor which we've pretty much taken off the list, but one contractor wanted 150 just to come in and look at it, and then it would be time and materials to give the bid. So we weren't going to participate with that contractor. I have another contractor that's coming back Friday. So we're hoping that, and I should have one other quote actually this Friday as well. So hopefully we're getting close to being able to get a quote that we can select and get that north side air handler repaired. We do have approximately 22 units that are working throughout the building. That's kind of helping offset the cooling a little bit. That's what we have access power to, because you may recall the rest of the building is locked out, tagged out. So we only have access to about 22 units. Some of the fan coils that were installed for the winterization project were not applied the condensate lines. It was simply meant to be able to apply heat, so we don't have cooling in a number of those units. But we do have about 22 units throughout the building that are kind of helping offset the temperatures a little bit. I was asked to take a look at the pool permit. Since the pool was not been operated or permitted for a year, it has to be relicensed. And the current license that we had and the permit is non-transferable anyway. So that would entail applying for a new license, and for our size pool, it's about $2,578. You would have to be submitted with building plans, and if there's any other new codes, they would have to adapt to any new codes, but no other codes since we were operating the pool are known at this time. So that would entail, again, submitting the application and the application fee of $2,578 along with building plans. And then they would be, the health department would inspect it within 5 days of notice that the pool is ready to open. The last piece was, I believe I distributed the generator service agreement. It's a 3-year service agreement, and I don't know if the contract committee needs to look at that and make a recommendation to the board, or if the board needs to look at it. But this is a 3-year service agreement that would keep attention on the generator, annual PM, 2 annual PM services, and a 3-year 2-hour load bank test. So I would recommend that we look at that and maintain that service agreement with for the generator when the board has an opportunity to review. Beyond that, that would conclude it, John, unless there's any questions at this time.
Yeah, I can see Gil has an electronic hand up.
So on the pool, do we have the drawings for the pool?
We have building drawings, yes. And I did include the dimensions and some other materials on the pool with as part of the due diligence. That was submitted to Mike, so Mike would have that.
Yeah, but we're talking about the license, so I want to stay focused on that. They want our drawings for the pool. Are you saying we have drawings for the pool, or you have drawings for the building?
It asked for building drawings.
But what's the building have to do with the licensing the pool? I thought what I saw was they want the drawings for the pool.
Yeah, they had, I'll revisit that, but they just said the building drawings. Since the supply is coming from the building, they want to understand the piping.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. I got that. As far as the bids, so we have no bids at all at this point?
No, I had to reach out in the last couple of days and ask where we are with that. And I have one commitment to receive it by Friday, and the other needs to revisit that with another tech before they could submit a bid. This unit is very
Greg, have they
difficult.
given you any idea of when they can start?
Once the bid is accepted, if they have the materials, they can start probably in a few days.
Randy, you had your hand up?
Yeah, John, if I heard you right, so we submit this all this stuff, and if there is to be an inspection of the pool, and I believe you said it would be within 5 days of the pool opening. Since we won't be opening the pool, and I don't think Mike Stacy would be opening the pool for a year or so, should we wait on this? Should we put this in the PSA that we will try to facilitate this at a later date? I'm just worried about the timing here.
Greg, do you have any response on that, or is that for us or the board?
That's
Randy?
up to
Yes, it sounds like something the board should be thinking about.
Is that a correct statement, Greg, that it's 5 days of an opening, or that be out 3 to 5 days after
They,
we?
they would, once they were notified that the pool is ready to open, then they're committed to inspect it within 5 days of being notified that it's ready to open. And that's after the application's been submitted and reviewed and approved. And if you're ready to open, that means that you're going to have the pool completely filled, as well as the chemicals ready to go. So that license fee does not include the cost of the chemicals or filling the pool and de-winterizing it, because right now it's still winterized, which means
Does it
we have antifreeze in the lines right now to keep the lines from freezing over the winter time.
does it make sense? Is it possible that we do the paperwork, the application, all of that, but then ask, will they hold that for a year, year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is, when the pool's ready to open, and then do their inspection?
Well, if you're going to do that, you might want to wait till you're actually closer to actually opening it.
That was my point.
Yeah.
So to be clear, Greg, you're saying that they will not issue the license until they inspect it, and they won't inspect it till it's 5 days to opening it.
That's right.
Thank you. Chris, did you have a question or?
I have a comment. This is not an issue for us. This, we have gathered information, and this is the information that needs to be turned over to Mike. Because if Mike buys the building and decides to open the pool, then he's going to have to go through this process. There's nothing we can do now to facilitate that. You know, the pool process is what it is.
Are
Well, I
there any
disagree
other?
with what you just said there, Chris. It can be our issue. He was expecting we had license for the pool. We allowed it to lapse, and now it's going to cost $2,500 or more to get it in place. We can address that. We need some more information. That looks like it's still could be gathered, and we can do that and before we make a decision. And the rest of this discussion around how that impacts the PSA, I think we need to do that in executive session. But I also have one more question for Greg. On the generator, that's a 3-year contract. Have you talked to them at all about just getting a 1 year or the ability for us to exit if we sell the building before the year's up?
Exiting would not be a problem. Um, they asked for the 3 years because then the rate is locked for 3 years for the company, as well as the discounted rates if they have to respond to a concern. I can go back and ask them if they can do the same thing for a year, but I did ask them if it would be transferable or if the building was sold, and then they said there would not be an issue with that.
Okay, well, I think we need to turn it over to the contract committee and let them make a recommendation.
But if I may, one other thing, going back to the pool, comment about the license, if we had the license still in effect or the permit still in effect, it's non-transferable. So it would have to be renewed by the
Seems odd
buyer.
about that, Greg.
I'm sorry?
Something seems odd about that, Greg. There is no way that they're going to ask a new owner to go through the entire new process. This new pool process that we have to go through.
That was the response I received from the Ohio Department of Health in Columbus.
I
Understood.
think what we'd probably have to do is reduce this to writing and email what the questions are, what our understanding are, and bring that back to the next meeting.
And John, if there are no other board questions, I don't know if you can see, can you see the screen now?
Yeah, I can. Can you unmute John?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
he's ready.
unmuted. So my question is, well, first of all, statement, we are selling the building as is, and right now Mike's our only owner. are one that's interested, and then if not, it'll probably go through partition. That's a fact. So my question is, since we're selling it as is, why are we worried about cooling the place down? Is it impacting the office or that? Because the reason why I say that is when we had to move out, there were many, many floors that were not air conditioned at all. And air conditioning doesn't rise, heat rises. So I'm just curious why the rationale to spend that money to get cooled unless it's impacting the office or some things.
I'm sorry, the rationale for the air conditioning, John?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The AC repair. Yeah.
Uh, Tim or Gil? Gil?
Gil's been in contact with Mike and he can explain that.
So
Gil's hand. Oh, Gil.
Mike is concerned about mold growing, and the heat and causing stress on the drywall. They have seen already some issues up on the upper floors, and they don't want to have to deal with that in addition to everything else that's going on. So they need the building to be kept environmentally sound to avoid that.
Thanks, Gil. Randy, can you unmute Marion?
Yeah, Sally, you had your hand up. Are you okay? You're all right. So Marion, yeah, she's ready.
Yes, pertaining to the pool, since the permit is connected to opening it and we're not opening it, why not just deduct that from the sale price? Give Mike the amount of money for the permit if the sale goes through, and then he can do it himself since it's not transferable. My comment.
Okay, thanks for the suggestion.
Any other owner questions? Okay, then the next item on the agenda I have would be the treasurer's report, which I think Tim is going to give.
Yeah, Tracy gave me a copy of the treasurer's report so I can read it off. So the operating account ending May of 2026 is $126,980.47. The reserve account ending May 2026 is $15,551,552.06. The total current assets ending May 2026 is $16,979,107. I'm sorry, $16,979,177.03. And the prepaids ending in May of 2026 is $43,666.13. So that's the status of the account at the end of May of 2026.
I would ask that questions about this be held till Tracy can be back on the call to answer them, or Greg might be able to answer some of them if there are any questions. Okay, seeing none. Randy, any hands up? I can't see.
No.
Okay, so the next item I have would be the legal update. That's you, Randy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, as far as the partition goes, Julie filed on June 17th. She filed for a summary judgment, asking the judge to admit that there's going to be a partition. Along with that summary judgment request, she filed a document with all our delinquencies, with the percent of ownership. She filed a document of our declaration and bylaws. All of that information would be needed throughout the course of the partition as it goes along. She also filed an affidavit on her own saying that she is aware of the details of the case and therefore she could testify to the judge with certain details. She also filed a list of mortgagees, the companies that have our mortgages, and also was filed the proof of the appropriate service notices indicating that she has notified everybody who needs to be notified of this action. Whether the judge rules on that beforehand or not, we don't know, but there is the first hearing date at this point is set for September 28th at 10 a.m. We had some people ask, they looked at the court calendar and there were some cancellations and actives and things that they use. The 9 o'clock time, it was originally set for 9 o'clock. That was canceled and it was moved to 10 o'clock. So that's what all that cancellation, active, and all of that kind of stuff means if you've looked at the court calendar. Okay. You've all heard, I think, that there would be a commissioner to manage things, but be our liaison between us and the court. Collier is our court-approved appraiser. And if necessary, if anybody objects to his appraisal, the commissioner would likely then appoint another appraiser, and any appraisers appointed would be paid for by the association. And that's all of the details that I have at this point on the progress of the partition. And Tim, I'm just going to throw you a curve here. I know you were working with the
Thank you.
appraisal company to see if is there any word on our request for a new appraisal?
No, I sent Julie a message yesterday asking her for an update on the timing. I just went through my emails and I have not gotten a response, so I will follow up with a phone call with her tomorrow.
Okay. And John, that's all I have to say about the partition. I have other.
Okay,
Randy?
before we move on, Gil, you had a question?
Yeah, Randy, do you know if we ever got a response from Finney about his meeting with the judge concerning the partition and the PSA merging at the same time?
Yeah, Jan, I know you commented on that or had an answer on that. Are you able to repeat that information?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, he did respond to it. I think everybody got a copy of that. I'm trying to remember what he said right now.
It was something about that we won't know anything until like August or something like that, or
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That was my recollection. I think there were some objections to parties at the hearing, and
Oh,
it
right,
was,
right.
judge is going to take about a month and a half before they
Right.
have a decision.
That's right. Thank you. Yeah,
Was
the
that a
mortgage
decision?
companies.
I'm sorry, Jan, go ahead.
The mortgage companies were represented, et cetera.
okay,
So
Gil.
was that delay due to the folks that had issues, or was that a delay on the question that we were asking about whether or not how it would be handled if the PSA and the partition coincided in timing?
I think it was a combination of both, from what I can read on that email.
He was not, yeah, the judge was not able to say any more. I think there were some objections to making any changes to it. And, we'll probably get a written response to that later.
As I recall, what he said was that he was not able to talk to the judge individually. If there was going to be a discussion about that, it was going to have to be in front of all the parties, and that's when it's going to happen, is in August.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and read that. I missed all that. Okay.
All right, we can move on to the next case, Randy.
Yeah, which is the Seward case. Um, as I've said for a month and a half now, um, that has been basically agreed to in principle. One of the lawyers for one of the insurance companies involved in that
Randy,
is right.
you're talking
Right.
about Burnham, aren't you?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Burnham. Did I say Sue? I'm sorry. Burnham. Get my cases. Okay. Burnham has been agreed to in principle. And there's been a disagreement. Well, okay. One of the lawyers of the insurance company is charged with writing up the agreement. There is some disagreement between the various insurance companies who were the plaintiffs in the case. And they're still arguing about that. The judge has issued a 90-day for settlement entry decree. That was a couple of weeks ago. So 90 days minus a couple of weeks, he is going to insist that he gets this settlement document. Julie says it is taking longer because there are so many parties involved in it. So far, nothing in the discussion between these lawyers is affecting our our portion of the settlement. So it doesn't look like we're in any sort of danger of losing what we already agreed to. Yeah, we're just waiting for them to fight it out amongst themselves. If we get impatient, we can file, it's called a motion to enforce settlement. And if that would then mean basically what it says, and that is that the person writing this thing, the parties involved in the dispute would have to come to within a certain time frame would have to come to a some resolution and write the report or write the settlement and present it to the court. Um, I mean, we would like to get this over with. I don't, just personal comment, I'm not sure that it matters if it's now or if it's in, what would 90 days be, September?
Yeah, end of August, beginning of September.
Yeah, that's when, so that's how that stands right now. In other words, that was a long way of saying we're still waiting. Yeah.
And Randy, my
Joe.
only comment to what you just said is if we don't stay on top of this, the way these legal things work, they just keep slipping and kicking down the road. And we'll be 90 days thinking we're going to be at the end, and it'll be another 90 days. So that's
I'll
the
let,
only reason I keep asking the question is I just want to know who's responsible to get what done when. So
yeah, and as I said, we have this motion to enforce settlement, and if we think it's not going anywhere, we can ask Julie to do
excellent.
that.
Thank you.
That will of course cost us money. Um, she wouldn't do it for free. So,
Any other questions about the Burnham case? Okay, why don't you move on to the next one?
and now Seward, which I said, um, there are multiple motions to dismiss this suit. Us, the insurance companies that are involved, all have filed motions to dismiss. We have too. The hearing is set for August 19th. So,
This is
Oh,
Seaward.
I thought the other ones were already agreed to, August 19th.
not that I know of. I don't know. The way she said it didn't sound like the whole thing was resolved yet.
Okay.
The other things.
Any questions on Seaward? Okay. Anything else, Randy?
Um, no, well, there's a follow-up. People, we were discussing last week the amount that the association has paid um, for legal matters involving the Porter lawsuit. I reported on that last week. I did get a copy of all of the um, invoices from before this board was seated. There are, I have at this point 25, and I understand there's some that even predate the ones I have. Uh, I I don't know. I'm just going to say I don't see the value right now of going through all of those. It would be a long process, line by line, and most of them are 20, 30, 40, 50 lines. And they're not all, the invoices that we get now they have a subtitle on them to say what is the general reason for these invoices, whether it's the partition or whether it's the Burnham suit or whatever. These older ones don't. And so it would just be hours and hours and hours for me to go through all of this and come up with these numbers. And even then, some of it would only be a guess because it doesn't specifically say what exactly that line item is being charged for. And so unless somebody is in a real heat to learn to the penny what we've spent, I would prefer just to table that and let that go. If our countersuit holds and we do get lawyers' fees, then we will have to go through all of this. But the Porter suit isn't going to be heard until what is it, January, I believe, March. So if nobody minds, I would like to just let that sit for a while. Tim's hand is up.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to say, Randy, is good job on getting all those invoices. Now we have them captured. But I totally agree with you that if we have to produce it as part of the legal proceeding, we will do it. But until then, we'll just hang on to the invoices so that we can go through them if we have to.
Thank
Bill?
you. Yeah, Gil?
I think there's more information that we need. I would be more than happy to take a look at those invoices and see what I
Okay, I can send them over to
can
you.
sort through and find.
Okay.
Yeah, Gil can take a look at them,
Whichever
but I
easiest.
echo what Randy had said. Some of these old bills that we had before the Finney law firm was retained have a description that a lawyer talked to a board member, but they don't necessarily say what the subject was. There's a number of fraction of an hour, the hourly cost, but it would basically have to go back and talk to either Don Lane or Cayman Cusimano to be able to know what the expense actually was. Both law firms worked on a number of cases, as well as the general defense of the homeowner association. So it's going to be extremely difficult. And the only way to do that would be go back to those law firms, and undoubtedly they would charge us to be able, if they have the records, to be able to determine what case we were working on.
I would say that the invoices are as much information as you're going to get from them.
Quite possible. Yep. Any other questions? Okay, then Randy, is that any other legal points to
Not
bring up?
from me. I'm finished.
Okay, okay. All right, that's that. Then we go on to the PSA. Gil, can you update us?
Yep, sure can. The only thing really new right now is Mike took another lender through the building yesterday. Evidently, they were very impressed because they offered to work on it and actually offering him more money than he originally was asking from them. So, but once again, they're going to have to do certain due diligences and an appraisal, and that's going to take a while. But that's where they're at, and he seemed to be very upbeat because he's got not just one but two different lenders that are now competing to participate in the rebuild. Yeah. So that's all I had on that, unless anybody has any questions.
Questions on the PSA?
Yep. And then
Okay.
on the insurance, I just got off the phone with Brian not long before the meeting started. They have D&O insurance. That's going to be about $4,000 a year less for the same coverage, the $2 million. And then they're working with, I'm trying to read my notes. I was trying to write them quickly as he was talking. Oh, there's also a general liability insurance that we have for $1 million. And I think that it's going to be the same company as we had last year, and it's going to be up about $500 to around $7,000 in total. The next one is the building. Lloyd's, who we were with last year, offering the same 10 million, 1 million deductible, about the same fee as last year. They have another company that actually would give us up to 25 million with 1 million deductible for the same amount as last year. There's a third company that is offering 10 million in coverage with $500,000 deductible, so that's lowering it by $500,000, and it's about $100,000 a year less. And then, based on the conversation John and I had with them, we also asked them to look at a little more than the 10 million, since one, we have a buyer at 12, and we believe the appraisal may come in closer to 12. So an additional 2 million with no deductible on that. And also the same company is looking at 5 million with no deductible. And those would cost us somewhere, he thought, between $60,000 and $70,000 for the year. So, I mean, if we went that's 60,000, it gets us to the additional 2 million. We're still going to be less than last year. He is hoping to have all of that done in a spreadsheet to us by end of business tomorrow. So we may have to have an emergency meeting in the next few days to take a vote on that. Or we could make a motion and just say, if it's less than this, let's go ahead with it.
Any comments?
Tim?
You know, I just want to make sure I understand. The last little bit of what you were talking about, you said there was a $2 million increment and a $5 million increment. That's on top of the 10 million already, right?
It is. And not only is it on top of it, it's different. It's a different company. The additional would be a different company than the 10 million.
Well, that's what they used to do. They used to stack the insurance.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure that everybody understood that what you were talking about, the $60,000 or $70,000 incremental cost is for additional insurance. Either
that would be over and above the 440 estimated.
Okay. Very good.
Any other comments?
Jan?
I have one.
Jan's hand is up.
I'd prefer to hear from Brian directly before we make a decision. Rather than just deciding, okay, if it's less than last year, go ahead, or something like that.
Any other comments? Anybody
Yeah,
want to make a motion?
I think definitely we need to have some conversation once we know what the cost is for the additional 2 million or 5 million and where we want to land with that.
And I tend to think we need to see the spreadsheet and see it in
Yeah.
writing.
There you
Right,
go.
right.
Yeah.
So I tend to think we're gonna have to wait, and as Gil said, we might have to call an emergency meeting for this. After it's the spreadsheet's distributed to all the owner,
Mhm.
to the board, we all see it.
Yeah.
Any other comments on the insurance? Okay, then, last item I have is question of distribution committee. Chris, you were gonna report?
I will. The payout committee, it's not a committee, it's a work group. We met with our attorneys, Chris Finney and Isaac Hines, to have discussions about various things. Relative to that, we came away with it with a pretty clear understanding of the process. And what what we know is that the process will, if we decide to go forward with it, would take 5 to 6 weeks. And we were advised that the process should not begin until a week or so following the due date for property taxes. So that would put it mid-July before we could start anything with this. We agreed that we would work with Ivy Title Company if we are going to go forward with this. And Ivy Title is a division of the Finney Law Firm. That benefits us because if there are any legal questions, they are right next door and it'd be easy to work with. In order to do this, we would have to do a title refresh, not a complete title research. We would have to provide the title company, of course, with documentation of percentage of ownership, and the delinquency reports. They would also need to contact and get a verification on dollar payout for mortgages and any past due property taxes. So the board has to discuss this and decide if we are going to move forward and at what dollar amount we're going to move forward. But our discussions have ranged between 10 and 12 million. So is what we are thinking. And the reserve amount, as Tim reported earlier, is roughly 15.5 million. So in addition to that, there are delinquencies. So that puts it well up over 16 million. So that concludes everything I have. Any questions?
Discussion of the board members first. Okay, seeing none, can we unmute John?
Okay, I want to be paid and I want to support this as best I can. I know it's a good thing, but I think it's irresponsible if there's another lawsuit or if this property goes to the courts. That could last a while. How would we pay for insurance without higher dues? The other thing is, since y'all have not decided to implement foreclosures on this, there could be somebody with mortgages where we don't get the amount of money they owe because mortgages come first and then liens, which would mean that's a loss, and we all have damages for all of us that have been paying and doing that we don't get their fair share if we don't foreclose. So I have some concerns. I think you need to really think about this and really weigh it and think about all owners. I mean, I didn't sign up to support others in this building. I supported it was an investment where I'm sharing in common expenses. I get that we're in a unique situation, but someone's inability to pay, quite frankly, while I have empathy, it's not my problem. And we need to be paid fairly. And I shouldn't be having to give them a portion of what's due a free pass while some of us that have been very responsible in paying don't get that. So that's my concern. If you wait and Mike's deal goes through, then you'll probably be okay and there's not an issue with it. But if Mike fails and it goes to the courts, we don't know what we're going to get. So I think you need to really think about those things and the potential losses owners could get. So that's all. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment, John.
Chris, could you just go over, I mean, as far as I understand the plan, is that it's going to go by your percent ownership square footage. Every owner will, in essence, get the same amount for the same square footage. But how are mortgages going to be handled?
Mortgage payouts, okay. The order of payout would be taxes that are past due, mortgage companies, and then if there's any delinquency owed to the HOA, that would get paid. And if there's any money left over, that the remaining amount would go to the owner. So that is the order of payout.
Thank you. Can we unmute Mary Merriman?
That would mean there would be two pots.
Wait. We missed the beginning of what
I
you
said,
said,
okay,
Mary.
do we have two sources of money, one from Landmark and one from the sale of the property? In other words, are there two different pots of money, shall I say? I don't know if that, or if I'm understanding correctly, that we've got Landmark money sitting there, and then we're going to have money, say Mike's, we sell the building by, June, July or whatever to Mike, then that would be another source of money that would be coming to us. Am I correct or incorrect on that? That there's two different sources?
You are correct. And the amount of money we are looking at here is coming from the insurance money, which is in the reserve fund.
Right. Okay. Now,
Okay.
yeah. Then the other question I have is, last time you mentioned something about compound interest and 1%, and I didn't hear the whole thing. I don't know that if everybody is aware is a penalty for those who happen to be behind in their HOA. Would you clarify again what you stated about compound interest and 1%? Or in other words, what is the penalty that they're going to have to pay for being behind in the HOA? Could you clarify that again, please?
Okay, well, according to our governing documents, if you late fees are 1.5% a month of the unpaid balance.
Okay.
So that accrues, and so that's 18% a year. The money that we're getting on our investment, the money that we're getting on our reserve account, which is, I'm not sure it's in a CD. I'm not sure just what the financial document is, but that's roughly 3.25% interest. Is that correct?
Yeah, let me just add to that it is 1.5%, but it's a cap of $50. And so there's a cap basically of $600 a year on that 1.5%.
I wasn't aware of that.
It is.
Because I thought I heard compound interest mentioned, that Chris had mentioned last meeting.
I did not mention compound interest.
Okay. I think that everybody's kind of unclear about that penalty with HOAs. That's what I'm asking about.
Okay, well, if you have an unpaid balance, the unpaid balance to the HOA, there is a 1.5% penalty per month. Okay. And apparently with a cap of $600 per year.
Oh, okay. So anybody, no matter how much HOA they are behind, the maximum penalty they will have will be $600 in addition.
Per year.
Per year. Okay. That's not bad. Okay. I just kind of meant, I don't have it, but we've been talking about it and nobody seems clear about that definition.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Marion?
Yeah, I wanted to clarify on the issue that John raised. It seems that, let's say we use the figure, people with 2-bedroom apartments get 200, people with 3 bedrooms get 300. So the insurance company is not going to get more than the 200. They're not being paid off. That's what I want to clarify. At that point, they're only being paid what has just been allotted to the person?
Are you talking about the mortgage companies?
Yes. So if I have a
So,
mortgage for, say, 1,000, and from this distribution, I get 200, I only have 200 to give to the mortgage company at that point, or do they want to be paid everything?
Well, they would
I,
like to be paid everything, but there's only $200 available,
Right.
which then will go to um, offset the balance on the mortgage.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we're not subsidizing anybody. That's what I want to clarify. John,
Okay, we are not. We are paying the mortgage holder out of the distribution
right.
that owner is entitled to receive.
Yes. Okay, well, that's what I wanted to clarify. And so that would refute John's assumption that we'd be subsidizing the people who've been paying.
no.
okay, can we unmute Sally?
Yeah, I think you just answered my question. I wondered if somebody was really in the hole, what would happen? What if there's no money? That whatever they're entitled to as a percentage of the distribution, whatever they owe for a mortgage and arrears and taxes and whatever, all exceed that amount, then they just simply get nothing. Is that correct?
Well, they
The-
get a reduction of their debt, which the reduction of their taxes, back taxes,
Okay, so
the reduction of their principal and their mortgage,
got it. Okay.
okay, and a reduction in potentially their past due HOA fees.
Okay, so then it's going
Okay.
to be up to the mortgage company to figure out how they're going to manage getting the rest of their money.
That would come later.
That would-
That's correct.
Yes, that would come later.
Okay, thank you.
All right, can we unmute John Webb?
Yeah, to clarify on Marion's point, I think there's a misunderstanding. So let's say the mortgage is 200,000, they have 200,000. That's fine. It pays it off. We're not subsidizing mortgages. Where it comes into play is that let's say you have somebody that owes 50,000 to the HOA. We're out of luck with that 50,000 because we're second in line, which would mean that we're going to take that total loss. They would never have to pay that. And you could say you're going to a collection agency, but if there's not a HOA left to pay that out to owners, we're sort of crap out of luck on that. That's where I'm going, is that extra amount with that. Not anybody's mortgages. It's more the dues if they're behind and how we would get that money back. And there's risk we may not without foreclosures. So that's just to clarify that.
And John, I am not going to debate you, but I'm going to make a comment. If any unit in the Hammond went to a sheriff's sale, a single unit, it is very unlikely that it would get $50,000. Okay, very unlikely. So I'm not going to debate it. I just made a comment.
I'm not following your example at all, Chris, and I'm sorry, maybe we can talk about it offline, because I'm just saying if it goes to sheriff's sale, that's a part where you may not have enough to cover both mortgages in some case and the outstanding amount. And
Well, that's true.
and there's certain circumstances. And I think the board, maybe you're right, Chris, that it doesn't, but I think the board needs to look at every situation and take that offline and see if there's risk there, because it could be. And the other thing I would say in closing is, the $600, I asked this last week, the $600, yeah, that's $600, but that's not a lot to encourage to say, oh, I don't have to pay my dues. It's not a lot there. So anyway, that's another thing. Thank you.
Tim's
Okay,
hand is
thanks,
up,
Sean.
John.
Tim?
We have, one of the things that we have done and we know is, we know approximately what the mortgage situation is with the owners in the building. And we have done, we know, say with a $10 million distribution, we talked about somewhere between 10 and $12 million. If we do a $10 million distribution, we have $5.5 million left in reserves. If we do a $12 million distribution, we have $3.5 million left in reserves. And we've done a sensitivity analysis so we know how many owners, say we do a $12 million distribution, we know how many owners would be short on their mortgages at that point in time. So we've done that analysis. It will be updated as a result of the title searches that we do, because there may be things that have happened. People may have paid off mortgages. People may have fallen behind on mortgages. But that's one of the things that we've done in evaluating this, and we run by our attorneys, is we sort of know how many people will still be in trouble with whatever distribution we give to people. And basically the way it goes, just so everybody, because there's been a lot of questions about this. Say you get $50,000 for your unit and your mortgage is $40,000. The first $40,000 goes to the mortgage holder. The other $10,000 goes to dues if you're behind on your dues. If you're not behind, then it goes to you. Say you get $50,000 for your unit and you have a $60,000 mortgage. The mortgage holder is going to take the whole $50,000 and you'll get nothing, and you're still going to owe the mortgage holder $10,000. So that's how it's going to work out for everybody. And those
Let me just add that
I pulled those numbers out of the air just to make a simple example.
and I believe the numbers we have at this distribution that we're contemplating, at least half the mortgage holders their mortgage would be paid off.
I wouldn't go any farther than that.
Yep. And let me also add that this still leaves somewhere between $4 to $5 million in our reserves. The insurance for the building, as Gil said, that would easily take care of this year, next year, and the budget. So I think, and there still is hopefully the sale of the building for a direct sale. So it's not all the funds. Any other comments, questions? Any contemplating any motions or any steps forward on this?
Mhm.
Okay,
Well, I don't think the board has yet had the opportunity to discuss it following the meeting that we had with the attorneys. So we need to have that discussion and find out where we are, decide what the number is, and we have time. We know this isn't going to start until mid-July, so we do have a little bit of time to get this done.
okay. Gil?
Just going to mention it's July 24th
Thank you.
is when that date
That's
would
my
be.
question.
Okay.
The 7th, the auditor was the 10th. They moved it back a week to the 17th, which puts us back a week
Okay.
for it to be registered and the title search to actually capture who's paid and who hasn't paid taxes. So it would be at least July 24th.
Okay. Very good.
Sally, was that your question?
Yes. No, I know it's the 24th.
Okay, thank
Good.
you. All right, well, that is the agenda. So, Gil,
Make a motion to adjourn to executive session.
is there a second? Okay, Tim seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll adjourn. Thank you very much.